Are you looking for affordable land? Today, I'm going to show you a couple of affordable listings that come with owner financing, so just about anyone can purchase them. And then we'll dive into farm credit loans and how they work. So you'll walk away knowing not just what's out there, but how to pay for it. So here's what we'll cover today. I'll go over some quick property updates, what's on hold, what's coming up. We'll do our deal of the day, and then we'll get into the big topic, farm credit loans, and how you can use them to purchase land. And finally, we'll wrap up with a fact of the day and a free gift just for live stream viewers. So quickly, my name's Erica. I have a company called Cooperative Capital. We buy and sell vacant land. And our website is cooperative.com. Now, if you want to find all of our properties, you can click Buy Land at the top. And here you'll see a map with all of our available properties. Now, I did want to highlight some updates because we did have a number of properties go on hold yesterday. So our 4.5 acre Klamath County property went on hold. Hi, Zaphael. How are you? And our 8.75 acre property in Nash County, North Carolina, which had a pond on it, went on hold, as well as all of our remaining Putnam County, Florida properties. So our properties do tend to go quickly once they go on hold, but we will be having new properties come up soon. Right now, we have a number in the pipeline in New Mexico, Colorado, and Nevada, so keep an eye out for those. All right, now I'll cover the deal of the day today, and I thought I'd cover one of our New York properties since I haven't highlighted a New York property in a long time. So I'll go to our first property on the table, number 121, Oswego in Oswego County. And this is a property in northern New York. And let's just zoom out here. We're very close to Lake Ontario. And we're also very close to the Oswego River, as you can see here. And not too far from a major highway, so you can get to various locations. Okay, so the property actually backs up to a little creek, which is a nice feature, especially for someone who wants a little more bucolic setting. And it is 2.6 acres, which is fairly large for, this is a rural property, but it is still sort of in the suburbs, so to speak, of Volney, or in a little more developed area. So you do get a fair amount of land here. We've talked on previous live streams about ways to make money from land. So you do have over 2.5 acres to try out some of those ideas here. But a few things that this could be good for would be like a quiet cabin getaway, a streamside retreat, or just a peaceful spot where you can come fish, hike, take advantage of beautiful upstate New York. And it is zoned agricultural, so you can build a single-family home here or potentially even use it for homesteading or small-scale farming. There's no HOA, no deed restrictions, so fairly light. Hi again, Zaphael. Thank you so much for joining all my live streams. And we're going to cover your topic today, farm credit loans, in just a second. And so I'll just note that the cash discount price on this one is $24,997 plus the doc fee. But as with all of the properties we sell ourselves, and for anyone watching who isn't familiar, I'm not a realtor. I sell only properties that my company owns. So this is for sale by owner. That means we do offer owner financing, and we'll tailor those terms to your needs. So whatever down payment or monthly payment is affordable and meets your budget, let us know, and we'll create a proposal for you. And I'll also note that there's no minimum credit score requirement, so don't worry about that if you need owner financing. Two other quick things with our owner financing. We do also offer a 365-day exchange guarantee. So if in the first year you find another property that works better, you can exchange up to one time. And we just are excited about this. We started a new promotion. It's a win 5% back promotion with owner financing, which is basically saying that if you pay off the loan early within 6 months, you can win back 5% of the purchase price, so however much you paid toward the principal. That doesn't include any fees, but that's a new promotion we're excited about. So if you're interested in this property, you can just click buy or hold. You can also hold it for up to 8 days while you do your research. And, Zaphael, you're saying you thought I'd have my license just to get access to the MLS and all that. We thought about it, but as of right now, there are ways to just like post on the MLS for a flat fee, so it didn't seem necessary. We were also worried about conflict of interest a little bit. So for now, I don't have my license, but if it does make sense, I might get it in the future. Hi, Avi. And my partner in crime is here as well. Okay. So let's get to the main topic, farm credit loans, which was Zaphael's idea. And Zaphael, you actually got a farm credit loan for your property, right? Oh, hi, Brown. Nice to see you. Glad to hear you like the promotion. I was excited about it, but I was curious how it would be received. So if you like the idea, that's good to hear. We thought it'd be fun, just a way for people to be rewarded for trying hard to pay off the loan. Yep, Bobby, that was the promotion that I was just talking about, our new win 5% of your cash back promotion with owner financing. That's, again, if you pay off early, so within 6 months. Okay, farm credit loans. Now, I wanted to cover these because Zaphael mentioned these, and he's actually purchased property through the farm credit system. But this is a system of primarily loans for agricultural uses that I'm not sure many people are familiar with, but are an option for land and can be very affordable. So just as an overview, the farm credit system, what is it? It's actually not a single thing. It is a network of borrower-owned lending cooperatives, which is cool. I was just wondering, yes, we did get a farm credit loan and got pre-approved the day before an auction, yeah. So that's exciting. I'm glad they were able to work with you on that. But that was a little bit of a mouthful. Basically what that means is these are lending organizations. It's a whole network of them. It's not just one bank, but they're cooperatives, which means they are owned by the borrowers. They're not owned by a corporation. So that's kind of, it's a neat setup that way. And the whole system dates back to 1916. It met a need that for farmers and ranchers because at the time they didn't have a reliable way to get credit. I don't think a lot of the big banks were lending to farmers and ranchers. So this system was created, it's owned by the borrowers, and it focuses on meeting the needs of primarily farmers and ranchers, just like it did back in 1916. But they do offer land loans as well. So they're a great resource for anyone who loves land and is interested in purchasing land. And they do work in all 50 states. There are regional branches. So if you were to apply for a farm credit loan, you would be working within your regional branch. For example, there's Farm Credit East, Farm Credit of the Virginias, so on and so on. And on their website, you can see They do offer a number of different products. I was going to go into land loans, but I just wanted to briefly call out owned by the borrowers meaning. So they're cooperative. I don't know if you've ever gone to a cooperative grocery store or something like that, but basically, or we were in New York, so a cooperative building where basically when you take out a loan or otherwise get a product from them, you're also buying shares in the organization. So you're like a partial owner, and I'll get to it later, but you get, if they make a profit, if the organization makes a profit, you get a share of that profit at the end of the year because you're a borrower, but you're also an owner. Does that make sense? Yeah, it's a cooperative. So it's an organization that's owned by the members. There's some famous ones, like I think Land of Lakes is a cooperative, the butter company, owned by the individual farmers. And there, Zaphael has another good example, credit unions. I'd like to buy in Florida. Oh, we do have properties in Florida. I'm happy to, I'll quickly just call out. If you want to look at all of our Florida properties, you can go to land.gocap.com. Let me just pull that, land.gocap.com. You can see all of our Florida properties, but you can also send us an email and we'll send you a little more information. All of our contact information, by the way, is here. So you can request a call back, but here's our email if you'd like to email us. Okay. All right, so that's the basics of the farm credit system. Now, if you wanted to use them to apply for a land loan, they do offer land loans. Like I was showing before, they do have a number of other products. A lot of these are tailored toward agricultural uses, so you'll see they have like equipment financing, livestock loans. They also have, this is probably going to be a question, Abby, that you have later, can you refinance your land loan? They do offer refinancing options. They also have, if you're a farmer, operating line of credit and home loans. So they have a lot of different products for rural land, farmers, ranchers, agricultural uses. So you become a member when you became a borrower. So when you take out a loan, you'll also become a partial owner within the farm credit institution that you've borrowed from. Right? So it's borrower owned. All right. And the other nice thing on their website, they have like a little calculator so you can kind of figure out what your loan would look like based on the loan amount. Now, I will say they advertise that they expect at least 15 to 20% down for improved land and 25 to 30%. Definitely review your Florida offerings. Well, I can pause this for a second and just go over some of the Florida properties if everyone's interested in Florida. So what if you default on your loan? I mean, it'd be similar to any other default. You still have to make payments, even though you're technically a borrower owner. So they'd still default you. Yeah, so we do have a couple properties in Florida right now. We're also looking at more properties in Putnam because we had a lot of interest in the ones that we did have listed. So in the upcoming weeks, we'll probably have more there. That's actually a good question. I would guess that you would lose your membership as soon as the loan defaults and you are no longer officially a borrower. But I can double check on that. They don't have a long write-up on defaults under the farm. So let's see. Or Zaphael, maybe you know off the top of your head because you have a farm credit loan. Right, so yes, if you default, you don't keep your shares in the cooperative. So the cooperative will retire your shares, which is your proof of ownership, right? That's what makes you an owner. So the co-op will typically retire your shares, your stock, and apply the book value of those shares or stock, the value of your shares toward your outstanding debt. And then you won't be an owner anymore. And yeah, so yeah, you have to have a loan in good standing to be eligible for membership. Right, so just quickly, our Florida properties. So right now we have one in Pasco County, which is up here just outside of Tampa. It's just under half an acre. And then we have one in Lee County, which is just outside of Fort Myers. This is in Lehigh Acres. It's an area that's had a fair amount of development going on. And this one is also just under half an acre. And then we do have two Putnam properties. They're currently on hold, but you can always check back to see if the hold expires. I'll also say that we're actively looking for more Putnam properties because of all the interest we received in them. But the ones that are on hold are also just under half an acre. So just under half an acre seems to be the sweet spot in Florida. But if there's a lot of interest in Florida, we're also going to be looking at other counties in the upcoming weeks and months. So if none of those properties that we have at the moment interest you, I can say that we do have, I'll show you, a text alert option where you can put in the states you're interested in and then get a text alert whenever we post in that state. So if Florida is your state, you can just put in Florida and then you'll get a text whenever we have a new property in Florida. That's like a kind of popular feature that we added. When our mortgage and so we might want to buy more land or something. Right, yeah, so when your mortgage ends, you'll also lose membership in the co-op, which is a good reason to buy more land, right? Yes, you. Okay, so I'm happy to go into detail in any of our Florida properties if someone's interested, but I'll flip back to farm credit loans for now. So, yeah. And I was going to highlight this a little bit further down, but Zaphael is bringing this up, which is one of the major benefits of the farm credit system is because you become an owner when you borrow from a farm credit institution, that does mean that at the end of the year, you get some payments from them, assuming they made a profit that year, which kind of helps offset your loan, right? So for example, like most farm credit associations distribute dividends that are between 0.5% to 1.5% of your average loan balance per year. Some years it can be lower, some higher, depending on their profitability. So here, cashback payments. Here they're showing the example of 1%. So effectively, you are buying down, or you're getting an interest rate that's 1% lower than what's on the loan, right? So if they give you a loan at 7% interest, at the end of the year, you get the equivalent of 1% interest back in dividends. So your net interest is 6%. And then, so what if they had a loss because of too many defaults? Do you have to pay? That's a good question. You always ask tough questions. They do not state that on this website, but let's do a little bit of research. I don't think so. So if the co-op has a bad year, it absorbs the loss through its reserves, not by assessing members. So you won't get a refund or a payment that year, but you won't get a bill either, which makes intuitive sense. It's what I thought, I thought it would work. Can a co-op go out of business? Yeah. I mean, just like any organization, it can go out of business. But the nice thing about the farm credit system is these organizations have been around, many of them, since 1916. So they do have some history behind them. I think you can trust that they're unlikely to go out of business in the near future. If I ask you easy questions, people will think I'm going easy on you. LOL. Yep. Well, someone has to ask the tough questions, right? Yes, you don't, if they have a loss that year, you're not assessed to make up for that loss. They should, as any good lending institution does, they should have a healthy reserve balance to cover years when they have losses. But when things are going well, you do get that extra payment at the end of the year. So that's the nice benefit of going through the farm credit system. The downside is that their down payment is going to be a little higher than, say, a government-backed or government-issued loan like the USDA. So, for example, a USDA loan, we covered in a previous live stream, can have 0% down. That would not be the case here. You are going to have to come in with a down payment. Zaphael, I think you mentioned how much your down payment was, but I'd be curious to hear how much you had to put down for your land. I know in the case study that I showed in a previous live stream, the woman purchased her farmland with 30% down. And that's kind of in line with what they have on their website, which is somewhere between 25 and 30% for raw land. Could be a little bit less if it's improved land. So that is to say, like, it already has full utilities, is essentially shovel ready, quote unquote. Yeah, it's a nonprofit. I can look up what their official status is, if they're a 501c3 or not. No, they are not 501c3s. So that's interesting. They are federally chartered, member-owned cooperatives. That's all kind of fancy talk. And they're actually regulated by the Farm Credit Administration, which is an independent federal agency. They are for-profit institutions. That's why they pay dividends to their borrower owners or borrower members. So no, not a nonprofit. I was wrong on my guess there. They are stricter than traditional banks. Well, as with any kind of loan, you want to shop around. Land loans in general are going to be a little bit stricter than like a house loan. Their standards, yeah, they definitely make profit for their borrowers. So yes, Zaphael is correcting me. They are for-profit institutions. The shareholders they pay out are their borrower members. So That's how they pay you. So why don't they charge when they lose money? It doesn't make sense for well, I mean, it's, isn't it kind of like, a regular for-profit institution? It's not like if the company you invest in has a loss for the year, you have to pay the company. Just the value of your ownership goes down. And then on the question of definitely not stricter than banks. So I think another way to think of it is they have a fiduciary duty to their shareholders or the borrowers who are paying in, and their goal is to make a profit for those owners. The owners are not responsible for ensuring that the co-op makes a profit, right? Definitely not stricter than banks. You could play games for months with the bank. I got pre-approved to go up to a certain amount on an auction the day before it happened. Wow, that's great. That's a really interesting case study. So that's another, I guess, big benefit of working through the farm credit system is they will work harder to work with you to make your deal work. Where are they coming with the debt? Well, they're going to cover reserve. I mean, they'll have reserves. So in good years, they'll be putting away a certain amount so they have reserves in case they have a bad year. I think it works like any other bank, right? The bank has to plan for bad years, like if they are running low on funds. And right, yeah. And just like any other bank, if there's a default, they usually can make themselves, if not whole, recover most of the funds, right? Because they'll sell the property. And just like any other bank, they're doing an appraisal. They're trying to make sure that they can make their money back in the event of a default. Well, no, the reserves would be the dividends would be paid off after. So the profit would be after they fund the reserve. Does that make sense? They're separate funds. So they'll put some of their gross profit toward a reserve, and then from the net profit, they'll pay off their shareholders. Okay, so, but yes, just a few other things. So they do have a couple different products, fixed rate, variable rate. You will have to put something down. And interest rates, I think, are pretty good with these loans as well. Maybe not quite as good as like a USDA government-backed loan, but probably better than a conventional bank. Zafiel is saying that we need to buy some larger properties and raise honeybees, and then you can take your pitchfork. Yeah, we can get our classic American Gothic photo together. Yeah, that would be an interesting experiment. What do you think? Gokche bees? Farm credit system would help you. Yep, they would. I actually think it would be interesting to go through the process of trying to apply for a farm credit loan. Can document it maybe if we ever want term financing on a larger property. But yeah, I mean, so this is kind of just a rough overview of the farm credit system. Zafael brought it up, and I thought it was a really great topic because they are a wonderful resource. They're an interesting resource in that you actually become a member when you become a borrower. And as Zafael is pointing out, they're quite flexible, so they can they can move quickly when they want to, apparently, and they'll work with you in a way that maybe a traditional bank won't. So they're a great resource and one that's maybe not as well known outside of the agricultural community. So the current APR of Zafale's loan is 6.25%, and then you also get 1% back based on the principal payments at the end of the year. So yeah, I did just want to highlight that again. The cash back dividends do lower the overall interest rate, right? So as I was saying before, say you get a 7% interest rate on your loan. At the end of the year, you also get 1% of your principal paid back as a cash dividend. So that kind of, in essence, your net interest rate would be 6% in that example. So it's lower. It ends up being lower than what's on your official loan documents. And that's a really nice feature of the farm credit system. And you don't have to, right, so you don't have to live on the property. The land loans are for raw land. I believe some of the institutions will give construction loans as well, but the land loan itself is for raw land. They're not expecting you necessarily to build on it or live on it. They're not even necessarily expecting you to farm it, I believe. The last thing I'll say, though, is you do need to show proof of income. And if you are planning on using the land to farm, and that's going to be, you're planning on that being your primary source of income in the future, in that case, they'll probably expect a business plan where you have solid proof that your new business will be able to fund your land loan. So that's something to keep in mind if you are trying to get one of these loans to start a business on the land and you're going to be relying on that business income to pay for the loan. But yeah, interesting resource, something that anyone who's looking to buy land should consider as they shop around for financing options. And of course, we also offer owner financing, so that's another financing option. And again, if you wanted to see all of our properties, they're at land.goatcap.com. A number of people mentioned Florida, so you can check out our Florida properties there. And for the discount code, I was going to give our New York discount, but since a lot of you are asking about Florida properties, I'll give you the Florida discount today. Oh, really? On interest payments? I thought it was saying... my understanding was it was the average loan balance of the year. So it's based on the loan balance. But Zafale, you actually have real life experience in being a borrower, so I'll defer to you. And yeah, you're right. I almost forgot the fun fact of the day. We were having so much fun talking about farm credit loans that I almost forgot the fun fact of the day. So our co-op gives money back on interest payments, but your stock thing was correct. It gets complicated like most financial things. So yeah, it seems like some of this is lender dependent. So different lenders will have slightly different structures. That's why it's always important to shop around when you're looking for financing. All right, so fun fact of the day. Well, maybe this isn't quite so fun, but did you know the U.S. loses about 2,000 acres of farmland every single day to development? Now, that was from a paper that's now a few years old, so can maybe fact check that based on current information. But we are losing farmland, sadly, and that's why it could be important to buy farmland to make sure it stays farmland, stays rural, and stays in the hands of American farmers or people who are interested in farming. Okay, so that's the fact of the day. And I was just I thought you were going to say to China. No, we don't lose 2,000 acres of farmland to China every day. We just lose it. Most of that is to development. But we also don't, I guess, it'd be better to stay farmland and stay in the hands of American farmers, right? Okay, so yes, I was going to give the Florida discount because many people were talking about Florida. So that discount code is LiveFL150 for $150 off any of our Florida properties. You can put that code in today up until midnight, and you can put that in if you also want to hold the property, and you'll get that discount when you later go to buy it. All you have to do is go to land.gocap.com and then just click buy or hold on any of the listings. And there'll be a place where you can put in the coupon code. And finally, yes, we also have our free gift, the 17 simple ways to generate income from land in 2025. The link to that will be in the description and the pinned comment. Finally, if you're interested in our land, it's land.gocap.com. So thank you everyone for being here. And Zaphael or anyone who's here, anything you desperately would like covered or interested in for tomorrow? If not, as I learn more, I'll cover it again. And maybe at some point we can do your idea of doing a little interview with one of our local farm credit system participants. That might be fun. But if no one has any topics that they're very interested in, right now I'll go back to our How to Make Money from Land series tomorrow. And then I'll see you all tomorrow at 2 p.m. again. Zaphael, thank you for participating as always. And thank you to everyone else. I saw a few new faces as well. So hopefully I'll see you back tomorrow. And then just one last comment from Zaphael. It took me a while to understand that these cooperatives are very important when you want to buy large acreage land. Traditional mortgage lenders, yeah. And I think that's a good closing note. Like your local credit unions, the farm credit system, local savings and loans bank. Basically, these local resources are really important when you want to buy land because the big traditional lenders are not huge fans of land. So it's really important to look at some of the great lending institutions that fly under the radar a little bit. And of course, there are also government loans as well. Those are a good option too. So thank you, everyone. Yes. Oh, yes, Raphael. I'm waiting to hear about how your chickens are doing and whether you make money from them in the first month or two. So keep us updated on the chicken status. And hopefully I'll see you tomorrow. So thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful day.